Hello! In this material I would like to show you and tell you the basics of the system Great Battles 1949-1945, created by the company Taktika and Strategia, Tactics and Strategy. It is system created for the big campaign scale battles like Stalingrad 42, 43, Normandy 44, Moscow, Kursk, etc., etc. It uses a division regiment scale, and it's, in my opinion, fairly easy. It's not a big problem to manage the rules, but I think such a video might be interesting and might be even helpful for some of those. This system was fully translated into English, and I think all of the games released in the system has their English editions so far, but maybe this video will still be kinda helpful. I'm not gonna play any certain scenario from any of these games, because like the title says, big battles, so the battles in this game are big. So for the purpose of this video I created this small custom situation here on the map that will show all the important and useful things in this game, show the basics of the rules and manage most of the situations that might happen in this game. So let's move. We're gonna play Germans and Romanians versus Soviets. Soviets are defending, so they are player B for the purpose of this scenario, while Germans and Romanians are attackers, so they'll be player A. German idea is to break through the Soviet defenses, which are, I think you can see, not very strong, with the help of their tanks, artillery and aircraft units, and Stuks. I'm gonna play one entire turn of this game with German move and Soviet move, so you will see everything what is important in this scenario. So I think this concludes the introduction. Let's move to the game itself. The first phase is the air phase of the player A. For the purpose of this scenario I gave Germans 3 units of the assault aircraft. They can be used for various things. For the direct attacks against the defender, for the support of the attack, to slow down the movement of the enemy units, or to destroy certain objects. I have 3 units, so I can use them for the 3 purposes. And I'm gonna show you how everything works. I will use 1 unit to destroy this bridge, or at last try to destroy, to make these tanks slow down their movement, and maybe yes, maybe no, maybe they will be able to reach the battlefield or not. I'm gonna use next air unit to slow down the movement of this cavalry for the same purpose. And I'm gonna use the last one of my aircraft units to perform a direct attack against these Soviet defenders here, because as you can easily guess, the main strength of the German attack will go here. So let's see how everything works. First here, I'm gonna try to destroy this bridge. So I move to the... I have these tables in Polish language because I have Polish edition of the rulebook. In English edition everything here is in English. I'm gonna move to the table destroying the objects. So I check how many SP I use. I have 4 SP here. And then I check, I have to make a 2-die roll to see what happens. If I'll roll 2, 3, 11 or 12, this bridge is destroyed. The chances, the odds are not very high, but for the purpose of this scenario, let's assume they managed to destroy this bridge. Normally I would have to roll the die, of course, and but this is just for the show of the rules. So this bridge is destroyed, unit is removed. Now we're gonna make attack here. This unit has 4 SP, so we move to the direct attack of the assault aircraft stable. We have 4 SP, so if we roll 2, 11 or 12, Germans will manage to strike Soviets, and the Soviets will have some losses. Let's assume Germans manage to do it. They roll 2. So the Soviets have to lose 1 step of their strength. They have anti-tank artillery here and infantry division. I'm gonna keep this anti-tank unit by all means, because there you can see the German tanks here. So I will lose 1 step of the infantry instead. This concludes German air phase. The next is artillery barrage phase. In this phase, player A can use his artillery to make a strong, devastating attack on the enemy positions. But to make it happen, you need to have at least 2 artillery units that might attack this enemy. Luckily, we have such situations. We have here 2 artillery units, and artillery has 3 hexes range. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. They both can fire on these Soviets. They have 8 SP together, because each of them has 4 SP in attack and 2 SP in defense. So they have 8 SP together, and in the barrage we double the strength of the artillery. So totally they have 16 SP. We move to the artillery fire table. We check verse 13, 16 and make a roll. Let's assume we rolled 5. We have result D. D means that the enemy is disorganized. He doesn't lost anything, but he is disorganized, and he will he will fight badly in the next combat phase. To check, to make sure that we remember that these both artillery units were used, I'm gonna place these counters on them, so we remember that they fired. They won't be able to move or fire in the defense in the next Russian phase. Okay, this concludes movement phase, artillery barrage phase. Next is the movement phase. We're gonna make a move. First, these Germans and Romanians. Their plan is to attack these Soviets here. So we have a German division, infantry division here, supported with some Stuks. They move. 1, 2 hexes. Infantry pays in this certain scenario 1 movement point for clear terrain, while mechanized units pay 2 movement points for the clear terrain. So they both can move here, because they moved 2 hexes. So infantry paid 2 MP and Stuks pay 4 MP. Stuks have 7 MP, infantry have 4 MP, so they moved freely. Now, Romanian infantry moves here, 1, 2. They can attack Soviets freely. Now, here we have Romanian motorized artillery. Motorized artillery may move, and it is moving through the secondary road. The brown ones are secondary roads, the yellow ones are main roads. So we can move. It pays a half MP for each hex of the road. So half, 1, 1.5. Here it stops and turns into fire position. Now it can support this attack. It pays 1 additional MP to change the position. It was, as you can see, totally able to do it. Okay, now here. I'm gonna perform an attack against these Soviets with strength of this 24 Panzer division. Gotta move these Germans here and here. I'm gonna keep this cavalry here without moving. Their goal is to keep these Russians, let's say, afraid of these brave Romanian cavalrysts. They'll be afraid to move because Romanians might persuade them. And now I'm not gonna move this division. Why? I'm gonna place a strategic move counter instead. Strategic move counter allows me to move this unit after all the attacks will be resolved. It can use the impact of the attack and make a breakthrough. Its goal is to move here and help surround this city. Why to surround instead of attack? Because, as you can see, Soviets here are under the counter order 2027. This counter represents such situations like NKVD units or political commissars. To say simply, this unit is forced to stand here and defend here till the last breath. It can't be forced to withdraw. So instead of attacking it, we may surround it and cut it out from the supply. We'll see how it works soon. This concludes the German and Romanian, let's say, oh no, sorry, I forgot. Here we have some Germans too, and I'm gonna move them. They pay 1 MP for the crossing the river, 2, 3, 4. One. Okay. This concludes finally, totally, and everything else Axis movement phase. And now we are moving to the Axis or player A combat phase. Let's start here. The very important rule is that you have to attack all the enemy units that you have in your zone of control. Zone of control is the 6 hexes around the unit. Artillery and H quarters haven't zone of controls. So this Soviet unit has to be attacked by one of or all of these Axis units. This stack may attack, this stack may attack, they both may have attack, but one of them have to attack. I'm gonna use both. You'll soon see why. This Romanian infantry division has 6 SP. This artillery unit has 5 SP, so they have together 11 SP. Stuks have 3 SP, so I have 14 SP, and this German division has 15 SP. So together I have 29 strength points. Here we have Soviets. Soviets have 7 SP, and they are supported by their artillery. Soviet artillery has 3 SP in defensive fire. So together they have 10 SP. 29 against 10 makes 3-to-1 odds. And now we are taking modifiers. First, for the attacker. This yellow star on the Stux means that the unit has +1 modifier against non-armored units. So we have a non-armored defender here, so we have +1. This give us 4-to-1. And second modifier for the Germans is that we have all units of the German infantry division here, 3 of them. If we have 3 German units of the one division attacking together, they have 1 modifier. So we have 4 SP +1. We have 4-to-1 +1. We have 5-to-1 odds. Now the modifiers for the defender. They are in the range of their command, so they have -1. So it moves us into 4-to-1. They are in the fortifications. So, and fortifications are in the town, because we have town here. So this makes -2. So together with commander and the fortifications in the town, it gives us -3. With 5-to-1 -3, it gives together 2-to-1 odds. We move into the combat table. We have 2-to-1, and we have to make 2-die roll to see the result. Let's assume I rolled 9. It's -1 B1. It means defender attacker loses 1 step. So let's weaken these Romanian units. They turn their infantry regiment from 2-to-1, and B1 -1. B1 means that the defender has to retreat 1 hex. So Soviets move here, and Germans are occupying this town. Now we have the second combat here. German armored division has 27 SP together, 15 from these tanks and 12 from these 2 infantry regiments. So 27 together. While the Soviets here have 3 SP from the infantry and 2 SP from the anti-tank. 5. But infantry is disorganized. This means that we have to halve their strength and round it up. They have 3, so we are halving it to the 1.5 and round up to the 2. So the infantry has 2 SP, anti-tank unit has 2 SP. Together they have 4 SP against 27 SP. It gives us 6-to-1. Not very good. How about modifiers? Germans gain +1 from the HQ, so it gives us 7-to-1. And they have 3 tank units, each of them has a star. A black star means that you have +1 shift for each of the stars. It means that the Germans gain plus 3 shift, but Soviets have anti-tank unit. You can recognize the anti-tank unit thanks to this white star. And the white star literally says that you can't use black stars. So this modifier means nothing for Germans. So Germans have 7 to 1, 7 to 1, and since Soviets are in the fortifications but not in the town, so they have -1. So we have 6 to 1, +1 for the HQ and -1 for the fortifications. It gives us 6 to 1. Let's say we rolled 6. It means Russians have B3 result. It means they have to retreat 3 hexes. 1, 2, 3. And anti-tank unit turns... oh no, sorry. And here we have 1, 2, 3. Oh, here, yes. That's how it should be. And enemy can pursue it, of course. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And this concludes the German combat phase. Now, for the last... oh, sorry, I forgot about one thing. This artillery was used in the defensive fire, so I should mark it. And same goes to this artillery. These units were all used, so I can't use them anymore. And now we are moving to the German strategic movement phase. I can move these tanks that, here and try to surround this town. I'm gonna remove this counter and move these tanks here and here. And now this city is completely surrounded by the Germans. Now it's the German supply phase. I have to check if any of the German or Romanian units have the connection with any road that leads to their edge of the map. Road goes here, as you can see, or here, and for the axis they have to be 10 movement points at last from the road to have a supply. As you can see, no problem, all of them has a supply. No, none of the lines of supply is cut by the enemy units or the zone of controls of the enemy units. So this concludes the German supply phase and all the phases of the player A. Now we'll be moving to the player B. Alright, the first is the player B, or Soviets, air phase. In this scenario, Soviets have one air assault unit. So how can they use it? For the purpose of this tutorial, I will do something like this. I will use these aircrafts to attack this Romanian artillery. But as you can see, we have anti-air unit here. And if air unit wants to attack or participate in combat in the zone of control of the anti-air unit, it must make a roll. If it rolls 1 or 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it fails and mission is cancelled. or if it rolls 5 or 6, then it may continue its mission. Let's assume that this time it rolls 4, so the mission is cancelled and the unit is taken out for this turn. This concludes Soviet area phase because Soviets have no other area units on the board. Next is the Soviet artillery phase, but as you may see, Soviets have only one artillery unit, so they can perform barrage fire at all, and also this unit was already used, so no artillery fire for Soviets this turn. Next is Soviet movement phase. How? This unit has to retreat from this hex. It has to move somewhere, do not stay here. Why? Normally, unit, if it makes no move, it may fortify itself. But there is one major exception from this rule. It says, if unit was forced to retreat during the last combat phase, it can't fortify itself this turn. So, the best these Soviets can do is to move somewhere else. I will move them 1, 2, 3, maybe here. And then I will take this HQ with them. Because HQs... oh no, I think I will keep it here. Why? Because I want this artillery protected. Next, Soviet HQs has no SP, and if HQ is attacked by enemy, is instantly destroyed. So it's worth to keep it with other units to make it safe. Then I want to move this cavalry here to somehow support these Soviets. But as you remember, there is a German aircraft unit, and it was placed here in purpose to slow down Soviet movement. So, if Soviets want to move here, they may have some difficulties, but let's see. Every move on the hex in the zone of control of such unit forces player to pay 1 additional movement point. So, these Soviets have 6 movement points and they move. 1 normally paid and 1 additional movement point for the movement in the zone of control of the air unit. So 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. They barely managed to do this. Now this unit. It is in a complicated situation. It is disorganized and it was forced to retreat. So it can't fortify itself and it can't return to normal because only unit that wasn't fighting and moving during entire turn can't remove disorganization counter. So we have to retreat these Soviets. They have 4 movement points and 6 movement points. Motorized artillery has 6 movement points and infantry has 4 movement points. But it is a motorized unit, so artillery pays 2 movement points per hex, while infantry pays 1 movement point per hex. So to move the entire stack, we can move it 3 hexes, no more, because artillery has 6 movement points. Also, to move... this is anti-tank unit, so it doesn't have to change, to switch its position from march to fire. So we can move them 3 hexes away, and I will do this. 1, 2, 3. And for the last we have this armored brigade. But this bridge was destroyed. So Soviets will have to pay 2 additional movement points to move through this river. What we will do with them? I think I will try to make an attack on this infantry in hope to gain some free space here to create a line of supply for this infantry. Let's see if I can do this. These tanks are moving through the main road, so they are paying half MP per hex. So half MP, 2 MP for destroyed bridge, so this makes 2.5, 3, 3.5. Fairly enough to move here. And this concludes Soviet movement phase. Now we move to the Soviet combat phase. These tanks are attacking this infantry. There is no modifiers for this attack. We have no HQs, no fortifications, and no stars. So we have clear 5 to 5. It makes odds 1 to 1. Let's assume we rolled 4. So we have dot and B1. B1 means that defender has to retreat 1 hex. I will move them here. And the dot means that the unit has to perform a disorganization check. Disorganization check means that the unit has to make, the player has to make 2 die roll and to see if the unit was disorganized. It was, as you may see or not, I'm not sure, guard unit. So Russian guards have to roll 11 or 12 only to be disorganized. Let's assume they rolled 12. Why? Because if they are disorganized, they can't pursue it with the retreating defender. So they, even if they won and forced Soviets to forced Germans, to withdraw, they can't pursue it because they are disorganized and they had to stay here. So this unit remains cut out of supply. As we will soon see how it works, because it was the last combat in the Soviet combat phase, so we are turning into Soviet supply phase. Now, this unit is out of supply. Why? Because this road leads to their edge, and hexes of this road are in the enemy zone of control. Such presence of the enemy could be negated only if there would be a friendly units on this hex. But since there is non-friendly units on these hexes are considered in the German control. So this unit is out of supply. We put out of supply counter on it, and in the following turns it will have problems when it will try to attack. This concludes Soviet supply phase and the one entire turn of the game. I hope that this material was helpful for you. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask them below the photo, or if you prefer on the publishers forum. They are very helpful and I'm sure they will answer all your questions. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.